Right, Sean, Katie, Sean. Katie, we're back. And tireder than ever.
After our holidays.
Yeah, came back from our holidays. We missed something quite big. I don't know if you've heard about it. San Diego Comic-Con happened. SDCC. A lot of stuff's been revealed. I've seen a few things. I've seen a few leaks. But the biggest one was probably this. Yeah. I suppose we just watch this and then talk about it. We'll have to discuss. Obviously, those of you that don't know, also Deadpool Wolverine came out while we were away. We haven't been to see that either. We'll probably wait and do a reaction on here. There's a lot of leaks. There's a lot of leaks. So yeah, let's just watch this and then see. We'll talk about San Diego and everything that we've supposedly seen, and we'll obviously talk about it. But let's watch. We're using IGN's thing here, so it'll probably be copyrighted. Playing now.
As proof of the unimaginable possibilities in the Marvel multi-universe, we give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
You don't seem very impressed.
No, I'm not. It's not that I'm not impressed. It's not that I'm not. I just have an indifferent opinion.
New mask. Same task. What did I tell you? I like playing complicated characters.
All right. So that was that was the reveal. Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom, but also from I'm not sure which Russo brother it was, but I think it was Anthony. He didn't say that he was playing Dr. Doom. He said that he was playing Victor Von Doom. Because when it was first announced, people were saying, you know, it's a different version of Iron Man from a different universe. Because that does happen in the comics at one point. And, you know, timelines and everything are scattered as it is. There is a moment where Iron Man essentially becomes Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom becomes Iron Man. So there is precedent for that, but the fact that he says he's playing Victor Von Doom seems weird.
Yeah, instead of just Doctor Doom.
Yeah, if he just said that he's playing Doctor Doom, I'd be like, well, okay, you know, you don't necessarily have to call him Victor Von Doom if you're going to reveal that it's actually Iron Man from a different universe. It's just, it feels like it's backing up what we've said. It feels like they're being safe. Robert Downey Jr. is going to draw money, isn't he? Being back in the MCU, he's going to draw money.
Yeah.
And it feels like Marvel is essentially going, we're struggling, let's bring back RDJ.
I think it just depends, because they changed the movies, didn't they? Because it was going to be Kang Dynasty, and then it was going to be Secret Wars, but then they've changed it to, what was it? Doomsday.
It's called Doomsday, yeah.
In Secret Wars, so they've basically changed the bad guy.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, but it's like, why Robert Downey Jr.? Obviously, we don't know what the story's going to be, so like there could be an element of that.
Yeah.
And he's maybe just not wanting to say it because he doesn't want people to catch on. But I don't know, it just seems a bit odd.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, he did specifically say the multiverse, so there could be another variant, and like that universe is like the main universe is Doctor Doom is going to come in at a different date, but it's a bit weird.
It also feels strange coming from, they had a panel with the Fantastic Four. I don't know if they were all there, but Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby were both there, who's obviously Reed Richards and Sue Storm. But apparently that's been set in the 60s. from what's a thing that I read, apparently it's been set in the 60s. That's why the sort of leaked image. It wasn't an official image, but it was an image where it had them in their sort of old time Fantastic Four uniforms,
Right.
and that was why it was that. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits into them, because obviously it doesn't necessarily. He's not only a Fantastic Four villain, but the Fantastic Four is who he's synonymous with. You know, he's their primary antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
But he is also one of the more powerful villains that the MCU can bring out.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's a sort of, I don't know why, I'm not as well versed in Marvel Comics as maybe I should be, but there always seems to be a link between him and Galactus. And I have seen the leak that apparently Galactus is going to be in Fantastic Four. If
Right.
only for a little bit.
Seconds.
Yeah. So if they're bringing if they're bringing Doom in and Galactus, it's kind of, and they're going to do Secret Wars.
Well, I mean, we talked about this at the end of Phase 4, didn't we? At the end of the Infinity Saga, like, who's the next big bag? And we did think it was going to be Doctor Doom, do you remember? We said we think Doctor Doom was going to be kind of like the
segue,
and then it was going to lead into Galactus, who was going to be like the bigger, wider kind of thingy. So if they do that, if Galactus is just like he's coming, he's not here yet, but he's coming, then fair enough. But I don't know, I thought they would just recast Kang.
I did. People were saying John Boyega.
Yeah, like, because he's been in it, and I know I said the last time they haven't done much build up to Kang, not as much as I feel like they did in the Infinity Saga for Thanos, but they've definitely done some of it. So it just seems weird that they've done all that.
Yeah, a lot of the early Phase 5 stuff and the sort of the back end of Phase 4 was tailored towards Kang. You know, especially with things like Loki and the multiverse, and Shang-Chi with the 10 rings, and Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah.
You know, everything seemed like it was tailoring towards Kang. So it's going to be weird seeing how they sidestep that. Especially Shang-Chi is the one that I think I'm the most thinged on, because it was making it seem like that the rings were related to him. He was involved with them.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were.
Yeah, and there was the theory that a lot of the rings in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania that you see, and because we haven't watched it,
that.
we see sort of ring things. I can't remember what they were. They looked like the 10 rings. They had the same similar markings and stuff, and it was kind of like, I don't get why they'd be so against recasting them when they have recast people before.
Yeah.
Most famous one obviously being Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo, but Rhodey was recast to Don Cheadle. Obviously, Thunderbolt Ross. It's going to be Harrison Ford now. That one, it's a little less thingy than the other ones, because obviously William Hurt passed away.
It's like they can make decisions. So like Chadwick Boseman, obviously he sadly passed away, and they had to decide what to do with the Black Panther character.
Yeah.
And have you seen the film?
No.
I haven't seen the film, but it seems, from what people have said, it seems like they've done it in a really respectful and kind of good way. That the character T'Challa is dead, but there is going to be another Black Panther, so it's not kind of finished.
Yeah.
Just recast Kang. Like, I'm not well versed in all the stuff that's going on with that actor, so don't start having a go at us.
He was convicted of.
He was
of his It's something like 2 misdemeanors and one of them's assault.
Right.
But people are sort of thingy. It sort of almost seems divided, because people are like, well, why does RDJ get his second chance with Iron Man? And who's the other one? Someone else. There's another character who's had a history with criminal charges that is also in the MCU, and they've had a big break. Obviously, because if you're in the MCU back in its golden day, you were making a lot of money. So why doesn't he? And it's sort of because my argument to that is RDJ spent a long time in the doghouse with Hollywood. You know, his was drug related, alcohol related,
Right.
and he was in the doghouse for Hollywood for a very long time. Like for 10, 15 years, I would say. Would get minor little cameo Easter egg appearances and things like that. You know, he wouldn't get very much. He got his big break because he was completely clean of drugs, you know, and well done him, goes without saying. You know, and he got his big break, and he's been recognised as a good actor, rightfully so. The Jonathan Majors thing is still fresh. It's really recent, and it's Assault, so it's on someone else. I'm not entirely sure on the specifics of RDJs. I know there was at one point, I'm sure he was in
It was drug related stuff. I don't know about anything else.
I'm sure there was a car accident or something where he might have hurt someone. But again, it's sort of like I don't want to get into, you know, what crimes are worse than others and stuff like that. But you know,
it's recent.
Yeah, I would like to think that RDJ has paid his dues for the mistakes that he made. I can't say that Jonathan Majors has. I don't know, because I don't know all the details of his thing. But
as well, though, like we talked about before, it feels like Marvel's struggling.
Yeah.
Especially recently, people are kind of getting a bit annoyed. People are getting a bit sick. Things aren't going how they planned. Do they really want that kind of bad press on one of the characters and one of the actors as well at this moment in time? Probably not. That's probably why they're bringing Robert Downey Jr. back, is because everyone loves Robert Downey Jr. So. Which
takes me back to the safe thing, because obviously your answer and my answer was just recast Kang. Honestly, I wouldn't be against John Boyega. I think he'd do really well as Kang. He's actually, despite Star Wars, he's actually a really good actor. But he isn't a proven draw like RDJ is for Marvel.
Yeah.
His name being on the poster is going to sell millions and millions of tickets. But yeah, it's very safe, isn't it? That's the takeaway that we're trying to get thingy with, is that it's safe.
We're also getting the Russo Brothers back, who are proven. I mean, they were involved in like the biggest grossing Marvel movies that they've ever done. So obviously,
I think the 3 highest grossing Marvel films were all made by them.
Well, they did Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That was in the 1 billion, wasn't it?
Well, they've got
Civil War.
I'm not sure if Winter Soldier was in the billion, but there's always the 2 accolades that it gets. They've got the highest rated Marvel films and also the highest grossing being Endgame, Infinity War, and Civil War.
Yeah, I think they did Winter Soldier. I'm pretty
No,
sure
they
Winter Soldier
did Winter
broke
Soldier.
into the 1 billion as well.
That's one of the really highly rated ones that.
Yeah, but like those 4 are kind of like
beloved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it that they're back. I'm actually quite glad, because it's like proven that they can do well.
Yeah.
The only thing that concerns me is, like you say, is the sidestepping over at Doctor Doom. Was this all, like, where?
At what point in the process did they make this decision?
Yeah. How are they going to do it? How are they going to kind of put the full stops on the Kang and transition over to him? Is it going to be with Fantastic Four? Is it going to leave enough time for the build up to the Avengers? Because is that enough time?
Well, by all accounts, Avengers Secret Wars is going to have something like 70 or 80 superheroes, isn't it? Alone. And it's like...
That's the thing. Lot. It's like... Because we were saying with Kang, we were like, they're not doing enough. Do you remember? We were saying for ages, like, Loki and like Ant-Man, is that enough? They need to start having more cameos, they need to start having more links, they need to do this, they need to do this. We were complaining about that. Now with this, it's like, how many movies until the Avengers? Is it enough? Have we got all the kinks worked out for this?
I think Avengers Doomsday is scheduled for 2026, which is only 2 years away.
So what have they...
And we're, 7-8 months into this year now?
But it's like, when you think about all the things that they've had out, from the end of Endgame, right, all the shows they've had, all the movies they had, how many of them have actually linked to Endgame? Forget Doctor Doom, how many of them actually linked to Kang? Do you know what I mean? There was Loki, Ant-Man, potentially, if we're looking into it too much, Shang-Chi. Anything else?
I think Shang-Chi's
Doctor Strange. Tried. Did Doctor Strange kind of? Not really. Like...
With the Marvels, I haven't seen the Marvels, but I assume it wasn't, because it's out of space and sort of away from Earth. I know obviously things like the TVA suggest another worldly type thing, but almost all of it seems to be Earth-based with regards to Kang. So it's kind of like, yeah.
That's what I mean, though. It's like... They present them as this, like, this isn't just this universe, this is the multiverse, this is a big, big deal, and it's affecting everyone, and it's, you know, everyone's have to come together from all these universes to stop not just one Kang, but all of his variants that we saw at the end of whatever it was that we see.
All the variants? What, of Kang?
Yeah, all the variants.
That was the end of Ant-Man and Quantumania, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? All the variants of Kang, and it's like, that haven't done much, and now they're going to Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it's the other thing as well that I've thought of is kind of I think people sometimes forget things like it's the Game of Thrones conundrum that I call. The end of Game of Thrones, they forgot about substance and synopsis and synopsis. That means story, doesn't it? Story.
You get what you mean.
Story, and they instead went for spectacle. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a real danger of them going for spectacle rather than story. The reason the first 4 phases of Marvel worked so well is they didn't just go Thanos. It was like you got the little glimpse of Thanos, you got a few glimpses of him here and there. He was in Guardians, obviously, and you see him at the end of Avengers. Mm. But even then, people didn't know who he was until they started
cameos and people.
But the first thing that it sort of did was it went, he is an Infinity Stone, he is an Infinity Stone, he is an Infinity Stone. Now this is going here, this is going there. They all seem to be converging towards certain places, and it's kind of like, right, so we know what it's going to be about. Then we got to start seeing more of Thanos. We saw him get the gauntlet, which kind of brought the story a little bit because he then got the gauntlet off Eitri. And it all built up really well, and it was natural, and it worked. It worked well. Feels like in 2 years, if I'm right about Doomsday being 2026, it's like what they make. Let's say 3 films between now and then. However many series, it's like it's not enough. Not enough.
I mean, it's like the Infinity Saga was over the course of years, a decade.
18 years or something, wasn't it? Or was it 18 films? Iron Man, the first Iron Man came out in 2006, I think.
Did it?
I think.
Jeez.
And I think Avengers Infinity War was 2018, wasn't it?
It was something, it was about a decade. I remember it was like
yeah.
But that's what it's over the course of years, and they have had a lot of media out since the end of Endgame, but I just feel like not enough of it is linked to the next big bad.
Yeah. Which is why part of me thinks that Doom isn't going to be the main villain. It is going to be either the Silver Surfer or Galactus, who's the next one.
But is that enough time? The whole issue with that when in the Fantastic Four was that it wasn't enough build up to these big characters.
But it's also strange that they would go, the next 2 Avengers films are Doomsday, then Secret Wars. Secret Wars, is that going to have anything to do with Galactus? Doesn't feel like it. Doesn't feel like it. It's kind of like, yeah, it just, because the fact of the matter is they're going to have to build up RDJ as Doctor Doom, and then
explain that in a way that everyone's going to be like, okay with
it. And then they're going to have the resolution with him, and it's going to be like, well, part of the reason his death in Endgame was so great is because he was there for 12 years or however long it was.
He was the first.
Yeah.
He was the first in like
first film, not the first Avenger.
Film. Not the first Avenger. He
Do
was
not
the first
insult my
film.
intelligence.
I meant in terms of the films. Sure.
Yeah, it's strange. I think Marvel's struggling at the minute.
It feels like the obvious choice for them should have been like we've talked about loads of stuff like this before. They should have the Earth stuff, the multiverse stuff, and then like the space stuff.
Yeah.
And then they can have different. They can have Doom. They can have Galactus. They can have Kang. You know what I mean? It's like do all of that. It's like.
I also don't know exactly how I feel about just RDJ playing him. The best thing about Iron Man was how quirky and how sarcastic and everything. Is that the kind of Doctor Doom we're going to be getting? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that RDJ is a one-dimensional, because he absolutely isn't. He's a really good actor and he's been in some really good films.
Yeah.
But I feel like his personality works better with sarcastic, funny characters. That's why Sherlock Holmes is so liked. Because he suits.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind of Doom he's being, because we've had 2 Doctor Dooms live action now. The first one was a bit. Julian McMahon was ridiculously camp. Like, oh my god, he was so camp. And I liked him because he was cool and charmed. I've
only seen him in Charmed and Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to be good, but he was just wildly camp And you know, there's nothing wrong with a superhero movie being camp, especially in the early noughties. You know.
Then they did the remake.
Goodness, that was the worst.
And then it made you appreciate Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that was the worst. Here's our big bad. He could be on the screen for 17 minutes. You know, and he barely speaks. You know, let's just have him do nothing. And that's a shame because it was Toby Kebbell. Was that his name?
No idea.
I think that's his name. It's something like that. Toby Kebbell. I'm pretty sure he's from up here. And it's yeah, that was such a disaster of a film. That. So I'd like to think. Let's be fair. They've got to get the Fantastic Four right first. Mm-hmm. They have to get them right.
And Pedro Pascal, we trust.
And Vanessa Gabriel.
Yeah, I know.
Only because I fancy the pants off her. Do you fancy the pants off Pedro Pascal? I do.
He is a handsome man. Not quite in that way. Like I would like to just have like a dinner with him.
Yeah.
Just talk. He seems like a really nice guy.
I'd like to take our dogs for a walk. Yeah, let's get them right. I'm not sure who's playing the Thing. I know the guy who's playing the Human Torch. Was he in Stranger Things?
Yes, yes. And I haven't seen the one he's in, the newer one. He's also in Gladiator. That was him. He's one of the weird like emperor guys.
Yeah.
In the trailer that we saw.
That's right. Yeah, I think he's in A Quiet Place Day 1 as well, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he is. Yeah.
I think he's the Human Torch, and I have no idea who the Thing is. But to be honest, the Thing doesn't really matter all that much because
in terms of the looks.
Yeah, because the majority of it's going to be probably CGI. I imagine. I can't imagine they're going to do special.
I'd feel really bad for him if it was a suit.
But yeah, they need to get them right. And then if they're going to use, they have to obviously do this right. If they're going to use Doom to bring about Galactus, then they're going to have to really pull their A game out for Galactus because he's the one that people have wanted since Thanos was gone. But there's loads of things now that sort of throw almost kind of. It's almost like, where are they going? There's the Eternals.
Just forget about the fact that there's a Titan eternal celestial thing coming out of the planet.
Yeah, like they've just completely forgot about that. You know, you'd be standing there going...
Imagine you see its eye and you go, you know, I think maybe we should do something about this. Yeah.
I've often said, I'm pretty sure I've said this in 5 or 8 videos now, but that bit where you sort of see Arishem turn up in the sky and he pulls all the Eternals to him. If I was Kit Harington there, I would have just capitulated. Just melted.
Die.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Just turned to liquid. Yeah, like, it was cool, but then that whole sect seems to just...
have gone.
Be gone, yeah.
Because by all accounts, I don't think they're doing Eternals too, are they?
Nope. Then,
so
you've
all
got,
of their inclusion are gone.
Arishem, you've got Harry Styles as Eros.
Thanos' brother.
Thanos' brother, and it was kind of like...
What the hell are they? Just in the void of space, probably.
Yeah. But then they have Kit Harington was... What's his name?
Black...
Knight.
It's Knight. I always say Dark Knight, but that's Batman.
I
think it's Black Knight, isn't it?
Yeah, that does sound familiar. Mahershala Ali was going to be Blade. That seems to be in limbo forever. It feels like someone needs to come in and just go, right, let's just sort this crap out because there's a lot of stuff we need to address.
I imagine like a whiteboard with loads of like all over it, and someone needs to just come and clean it off and just go like, okay, number 1.
Yeah.
We do this.
It needs cleaning up, doesn't it? That's the thing. Everything needs cleaning up, and you know they need someone in there going, "Oh yeah, you forgot that there's a giant celestial sticking out of the Antarctic." Maybe we address that at some point. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, someone goes, "Get out of here, you SOB." No one remembers that, and it's kind of like, everyone remembers everything.
Kind of should, because surely all it would take was for like someone to like, I don't know,
sneeze in the wrong direction and it wakes up.
Why isn't it like marble?
I imagine Kaplunk or something like that. You know, someone walks on it and it's like, oh, I'm awake, and it's out. Yeah, but it is. It's like marble. I was joking. I know that it's not really alive. But, you know, the point still stands is that there's a giant thing sticking out of the planet and no one seems to... It's like a cocktail umbrella and no one seems to care that he's there. That's what it is. He's like sat.
How much you betting there'll be a movie in the near future where it becomes like a tourist attraction? There's people taking selfies with it.
Yeah. That'll be the way they address it.
It's it just
feels like the whole thing's a mess to me. That's the thing I can describe, and it feels like this is them going, let's play it safe.
Please, RDJ, fix it.
Yeah, because what would happen if the next 2 Avengers films flop? And it'll be like, what do we do? Because, you know, the one of the big worries about Endgame was that people were going to step off from the franchise after that.
And they haven't made it very better for themselves, have they?
Nope.
Do you remember after Endgame they announced all this stuff and people were excited? People were excited for it, and then it just they cancelled stuff, they pushed stuff way back. Albeit COVID and stuff happened.
Stuff was substandard.
But stuff wasn't as good, and then movies were coming out and that wasn't as good, and they were doing all that, and they just started doing like a movie every year and a show, 2 or 3 shows every year, and it was
More
like
than a movie, yeah, there was 2 or 3 movies a year.
It was like, whew, good God.
If not 4, I'm sure at one point they went to 4 movies in 1 year. And it was like, yeah, you're right, it feels like fatigue, and that's probably what they were more scared of, was people just going, well, I know that RDJ is gone, I know that Chris Evans is gone, you know, what's the likelihood we're going to see Jeremy Renner again? We know Natalie Portman's gone, Ruffalo might be in it for a bit longer, Hemsworth maybe, but it feels like all the major players stepped away. You know, I know we still have a few of them, but then Hemsworth's next film was horrific. You know, Ruffalo isn't the Hulk anymore. He's not the Hulk that everyone likes.
I feel bad for Mark Ruffalo. He's never really he's just kind of been in like everyone else's movies.
Yeah.
And in Avengers movies and everyone else's movies.
Well, people are clamouring for a World War Hulk film.
I know, but it's like
I know. But
with how Marvel's CGI has looked recently, I'm like, I don't know if I want that. I don't know what's happened in the world of CGI. We're in 2024. Why does it look so terrible?
We're in 2024 and they're spending more money than ever on the films, and somehow it looks worse.
It's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, and you know, there's things like the Abomination. Looks like a giant frog instead of a skeleton.
It's like She-Hulk, but she looked very like cartoonish. And I know she's a big green monster, but in 2012, the first Avengers, the Avengers film, it's like Hulk looked awesome.
I know.
And now it just,
But we've lost that Hulk. That Hulk's gone. It's kind of like, that's probably what I would most like in the next few years, is to have a moment where he might be Professor Hulk, but then he just completely rages out and turns into like the real Hulk.
Yeah, like he has no choice but to.
Because it just feels, like, why not just have Ruffalo? You know, be Banner, yeah, like. It's just. Anyway, that was us talking about RDJ's reveal as Doctor Doom. Let us know what you think. Try and be nice. Give us your opinions. Like the video, subscribe. Ding the bell button notified when we upload. We should be uploading every day, I hope. Anything else you want to say, Kitty?
I don't know. I hope Robert Downey Jr. is good.
So do I. Do you think he's gonna have a moment where he says, "I am Doctor Doom"? It's not quite as good, is it?
No. Let's hope not.
Yeah. Do you think it takes away from Iron Man's death?
Depends what they do with it.
Yeah.
Depends what's happening.
Because
what the crack is.
It's also going to be a tiny bit disconcerting for the rest of the Avengers if a guy turns up who looks exactly like Iron Man as Doctor Doom.
That's why part of me is like, this isn't going to be main Avengers Doom. It shouldn't be anyway. I'd much rather just another actor get an opportunity to be in a Marvel film.
Yeah, like yeah.
If it's like from somewhere, if he's from the multiverse somewhere, and yeah, he's Victor Von Doom, but he looks like our Tony Stark, and it's like, oh, you know, Spider-Man has a moment where he's like, oh my god,
yeah,
you know. But like, other than that, I just don't see why it was necessary. Like, Marvel used to deliberately get actors that no one really knew, except for obviously Robert Downey Jr., for a reason. Well,
the thing is, Robert Downey Jr.'s career wasn't on the up in 2006. Iron Man was his big break back into Hollywood.
I know, but a lot of people still knew him.
Yeah.
In comparison to like Chris Evans, who was very new, and Chris Hemsworth, who was again very new.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're gonna have to be delicate either way. Thank you for watching.